Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to a Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour, proudly presented by our friends over at Toyota of Warren. DJ Oakley on this side, and on that side, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. Scotty Mincher. What's up, Scooter?
I'm just happy it's Wednesday again. We didn't have the show last week, but it seems to go fast, and it's good to be right back at it because I'm home today. I've been doing, things from home for a while, but never like to get too complacent. So it's good after a week off to be back at it again.
We are back at it again. As I'm sure many of you have noticed, your boy has been on the go. Last week, Steve Leslie and I made the adventure down to Louisville, Kentucky on Thursday night, all the way until late Sunday night. And then this week, we're heading down to Atlanta, Georgia to follow the YSU baseball Penguins down to Georgia what is it? The Georgia Technological Institute or Institute of Technology, something like that. Georgia Tech, for short. We'll be down there for a 4-game series, one on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. It's that time of year, Scotty. That time of year where we're chasing down Penguins wherever they may go. And our boys they're having a rough go at it. Last night they lost a football game, basically. 40 runs scored in the ball game. 40 runs, 21-19 your final score. The Penguins were leading at one point 13-3, 13-1, something like that. And then Ohio U came back and got there was a lot of runs, let's just say, and it was a monsoon. So some crazy baseball happening in Athens, Ohio yesterday, and our Penguins were right in the eye of that baseball hurricane down in Athens, and now they will rebound and they will go down and fight against the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech. I'm sure Anthony Hartwig is absolutely split right down the middle with his heart of who he's rooting for. But we, unmistakably and inevitably, will be picking and following the Youngstown State Baseball Penguins. Without a shadow of a doubt, Scott. We will follow them to the ends of the earth, and we will cheer for them until we can cheer for them no longer. We're excited for that. Basketball, we've got one girls team left, Springfield High School, and the Lady Tigers on a roll, catching a little bit of a heater towards the end. And then you got basketball, boys basketball in full swing as well. I mean, this is a crazy time of year. There's baseball practices, softball practices going on, track and field as well, lacrosse as well. Scotty, I know people sit there and go, oh, I love football, I love volleyball, this is my time of year. This is the reason that YSN became YSN is because there was never any baseball or softball or track and field coverage, and now there's going to be, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited for this time of year. It's March. It's 60 some degrees out. It was 72 yesterday. How can you not get excited about this time of year, Scooter?
Yeah, so much going on, and I wanted to ask you a couple things, if that was okay, before we get into the main course I wanted to dive into today. But a couple things when it comes to YSU, because I heard about the 13, the big lead they had, and not being able to close the deal. Do you think, is it, like, obviously it seems like they have some problems they're pitching, but do you think it's their starters, or you think it's more like the depth after the starters is where you see the biggest issue right now, like with the pen and everybody else? Or do you think that, maybe the starters aren't quite pitching maybe up to their capability?
No, I think a lot of this comes back to the fact that the majority of the pitchers on the staff from last year were injured. And I don't want to say that there's gun shy. I don't want to build in excuses for them, but I think there's a lot of kind of earning back their own trust if that makes sense. They're not after the coaching staff. They're not trying to win over fans. They're not trying to win over teammates. They're just trying to earn back the trust of where they were. I mean, you look at a guy like Jake Gehring, who is not fresh off of an injury, but had Tommy John surgery going into college and started out at Ohio State. There's a lot of one of the things that we've talked about, Steve and I, and a lot of people along the line is some of the conversations that these baseball players have to have with college coaches. And a lot of the problems that I have in college in general start with empty promises and telling kids, hey, you're going to be here, and then changing their mind or leaving a program altogether. Danny Bertolini's been there for a long time. I believe, the existence of YSN. He's been the head baseball coach at Youngstown State University. I'm always going to back Danny Bertolini from a standpoint of he is a guy who knows more baseball and has forgotten more baseball as even a guy like me has ever known. And I love baseball, but he's a strategist. He goes with instinct. He goes with gut. He's good for players. He's good with players. Shane Davis, the pitching coach, we had a chance to sit down with him. And YSU's injected some new blood into their coaching staff. All of that being said, I don't think that the players are trying to necessarily impress or win a spot, so to speak, like we've seen in years past. I think their spots are pretty much etched out. Not that there's not going to be competition and healthy competition, but I think these guys are still trying to kind of break some of the mental things that they have to get over. I mean, Lane Rhodes, we saw him get back to form a little bit last night. Only threw about 40 pitches, and is supposed to get a start this weekend in Georgia Tech. Local guy at Salem. You know that Gavin Wilms, another Salem kid, is going to be a huge, huge piece of that bullpen moving forward. We talked about Jake being the leader, being the lead dog, the Friday starter typically for the Penguins. Then you look at guys like Brandon Mikos, who are fighting their way back and trying to rehab their way back in, and will, once they're back in, should really bolster either the starting rotation or the bullpen, wherever he ends up. And then Mitch Seymour, the Springfield product. I mean, we've got so many local kids on this team, Scotty, that they're so proud to wear that Y on their kit. They're so proud to wear that penguin on their chest. That I think we, as the people who are fans of this baseball team and these local products all in one squad, we just have to be patient, because I think that once these guys are able to mix it up, we're seeing Trey Pancake getting more reps, be at catcher, and Ian Francis over at first base has been doing a remarkable job. And if we get guys that are doing their job, we've got a young center fielder in Derek Tarpley Jr., who I think is going to be outstanding. He was picked as the freshman of the year in the Horizon League. To start the year, preseason, I guess. So, you look at some of these guys that are stepping into role spots, and Trey Law leading them as a senior. They've got the potential to be really good. It's just, can they realize that potential this year, or is it going to take a year and a half, or getting them into, the flow of things and understanding who's going to be in the starting lineup every day, things of that nature. So there's a lot of question marks, and this team excites me. I will tell you that this Youngstown State University team excites me on the diamond. I love what they're able to do. It hasn't equaled out to wins yet. It has not equaled out to wins yet. And I know everybody's waiting. Oh my gosh, when are we going to get a win? Like last night, you turn it on 13-1, and then you turn it off and you're like, okay, they got this one. And then you turn it back on. You're like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? A lot of it, and I think that the pitching staff, they're not afraid to run from this, Scotty. They're not afraid to run from the onus. But you look at that, they're playing some high caliber teams. I mean, this isn't like they're playing the Sisters of the Poor and the Brothers of the Blind. They're playing Georgia Tech and Louisville and Ohio, and I mean, you get College of Charleston, Texas State. And some of the parents and some of the players were saying Texas State might be the best team they see all year. And we're playing these teams. Danny does not fear anybody. Neither do any of the guys on that roster, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt. But the big thing is if you're going to play those schedules, you have to be patient. You have to be patient. You have to be persistent. You have to make sure that every time you look in the mirror, you understand, you know who you're playing, and understand that there's got to be that Youngstown swagger, that Youngstown grit, that determination. That doesn't matter who you go up against, you're going to show them you are why I'm proud. Basic, beginning and end, right there. You are why I'm proud, and you're going to show them where you came from, which is, we believe, in this area, it's some of the best baseball and softball on the face of the earth here in Northeast Ohio. So it'll come around. It'll come around. I firmly believe that. I think there's a lot of critics right now, as there is anytime that you're kind of off the wagon. Um, but I will say this, and this doesn't come from the team. This doesn't come from the players. This comes from me. If you're not willing to support this team when they're down, when they start getting up and start knocking people around, don't jump on that bandwagon. Don't jump now, because these guys, they like their backs against the wall. They understand that that chip's going to be the size of the Keystone State and the Buckeye State on their shoulder, and they're going to take it to you. So I'm excited to see this team fight this weekend for sure, Scotty.
Do you, because I know you'll be going to Georgia Tech, and it's another, like, I'm pretty sure they lead the nation, or they're up there as far as home runs go. I know they've hit a lot of them, Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
Is there
they've hit, and I'll tell you what, Louisville is a hitter's park, and they have more lefties in Louisville than any other team I've ever seen in my life. Like, everybody, in order to go to Louisville, you have to be a lefty. I'm pretty sure that's a prerequisite.
uh, and I think it's gonna be definitely something that I think, as long as they keep grinding at it and playing this gauntlet, I think it really, tests them, and it's gonna make them stronger. Like the old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think, even though we're not seeing the fruits, the fruits aren't bearing right now. I think down the line it could be really good. But I guess, going off of that, DJ, is there a small part of you that ever thinks, not that you're not totally on board, and not that you don't think they're confident, but just asking the question as kind of someone that's not as um, intimate with the program as someone like you are, do you ever think to yourself, like, boy, like, I kind of wish, like, sometimes they played maybe a little lesser opponents, at least at some points, so maybe to it, you didn't see losses so, like, demoralizing, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good question, and another point that Steve and I talked about on the way back on the 6 hour journey back to Youngstown, Ohio. I think for me, I don't, because I've seen the games that are close. I've seen us take 2 games in Houston against a really good Houston team. Um, I've seen us come really, really close, like incredibly close, like within an inning, to beating a team in LSU that would eventually go on a couple years later and win the College World Series. Um, I know, I know what this team can be, and I think that's the trouble. Is everybody else looks at this, and the expectations that they have every year, obviously, are to win, but it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter right now, winning or losing. The experience that you're getting against really good teams, like the College of Charleston, like Texas State, like OU, like Georgia Tech, like Louisville, and the list goes on and on. If they're able to compete with these teams, and they were able, I don't care what the score was, they competed uh, against Louisville. They competed against OU. We're starting to see a little bit of a turn, but you have to understand baseball to know it and to see it. You can't just look at what the box score says and, oh my gosh, we lost 21-19. Our pitching stinks. That's not the way you look at it. That's not the way you look at it. You also don't look at it as we scored 19 runs. You have to look at it as how did your team compete? How did my team compete? And what I've learned from this team is that as long as they've got Danny Bertolini as the head coach and he's leading this team, and you and I have talked about this at the NFL level, the college level, the high school level, the amateur level, a team embodies their head coach. A team embodies who their leader is. And I've been really excited to see Danny make this way less about who he is, who Shane Davis is, who the new coaching staff is, and the players are on the front line. I mean, your captains, right off the top, he talks about Ian Francis. He talks about Jake Gehring. Talks about Sloan Ulrich, who had another unbelievable start on Saturday. When this team, like I said, when this team has the chemistry that they're looking for, when they get that swagger, look out. Look out, because I don't care who they play. They can play a Georgia Tech. They can play, a team from Omaha. They can play a team from nowhere. They're going to be dangerous. They're going to be tough because they're fast. When they get on base, they're aggressive. They're not going to have the home run numbers, even though we're starting to see some pop. Tarpley hit a home run yesterday. The potential's there. You look at that and you say the potential's there for 19 runs a game against good teams like OU. So when we're playing teams like Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne, there's opportunity knocks, right? And teams like Wright State, which we know what they possess. And they've lost a lot as well, but they've also put a lot back into the pond, so to speak. So, again, I'm going to ride with everybody here at YSU. I'm going to ride with the local guys, and I always will. Their story's not finished. And I think that if this team can get fully healthy, they are going to be a dangerous team. One of the most dangerous teams that we've seen here at Youngstown State baseball for a long, long time. And I know there's a lot of people that'll sit there and roll their eyes and say, well, what about? I'm telling you the potential. And I know you've got to realize potential, and that's all it is. The potential with the names and the arms and the athletes on this roster, if they're mixed right, if the ingredients are mixed together, that's going to be one hell of a cake, man. That's going to be one hell of a cake.
I guess closing on that, I just wanted to say, like, if they're able to get some of those starters and the pitchers back that you were talking about that got hurt, and then they're not going to score 19 runs every game, obviously, but if they could continue to just fight on offense every night, and they have those pitchers, I mean, we know, DJ, we've watched enough baseball, talked about enough baseball. Um, we've been watched the game for a long time, and that pitching's the name of the game. So they get some top dogs back, and they continue to show that fight on offense. I think the wins are gonna start coming. Sure.
Well, you're right. And I think that one of the things people have to, and not just you'd ever root for an injury, but, we were really snake bitten last year, YSU, across the board, especially with our pitching staff. A guy that, we know, we love, he's a part of the family here, as his dad is a broadcaster on YSN. But he's made his own name for himself as Chase Franken. And last night, Chase went out and shoved. I think he had 3 innings pitched. Did an incredible job. And Chase is a guy that was part of, if you remember, the Columbiana Clippers. He was the Clipper captain. He was the guy. He did everything. He could play any position on the field. He could, hit anywhere in the lineup. That's still a straw at the disposal of Danny Bertolini. And Chase has done a lot of, last year he played a lot of the outfield. This year he's doing a lot of the kind of back end pitching. We saw him warm up. I want to say it was Saturday. Saturday in that game, and then you know he pitches yesterday, and he did a great job. We are riddled, and I mean absolutely. Maybe riddled's not the word. Blessed to have guys like Chase Franken that will do whatever it takes. I'm sure if you looked at Jake Gehring and you went up to Jake and said, "Hey, we need you to do X, Y, or Z." We don't. I mean, he doesn't care if he carries the bags for people to. I mean, if he's carrying your cleats, he doesn't care if it helps the team. And I think that's what people are missing. And I know that the narrative is probably not being told because everybody's more worried about getting that first win out of the way and doing this and doing. What I'm going to tell you is there is a ton of guys like Jake, like Chase, like Brandon Mikos, like Seymour and Ian Francis and Trey Pancake. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And Trey Law, I mean, like all these guys and the coaches personify that as well. They are willing to do the work and whatever it takes to not just win, but to put themselves in the best situation for each other as a team. Being a good teammate to me is way more important than going 3 for 3 in a loss. Being a good teammate and making sure that you're picking up your guys, being a good teammate and picking up your coaches. Because listen, most people will sit there and they'll bark, right? They'll sit there and bark right here. But at the end of the day, the second that you have an opportunity to, yeah, as a coach or at any level, they're going to sit there and tell you, oh, you know what, coach, go out in there and get it tomorrow. Coaches understand. They know. Players know who talks about them. Twitter is out there now. We all know the dark web. We all know that people talk trash. Social media, there's people that have no business being on social media talking about other people. No matter how much you think you know the game, unless you can get out there and do what these young men do and these young women do, we're talking about other sports, just keep it shut. You know, critics are a dime a dozen, but these coaches are doing a great job of putting these guys in positions. And sometimes it's a learning experience for them too. And I think that's what most people lose in translation is they're expected to go out and put 1 through 9 and a pitcher and then set their bullpen and then, have everybody listen. It's a job and Danny's never going to shy away from it. I can tell you that. I've known Danny long enough to know that he is not only one of my favorite coaches that I would love to play for and run through a wall for, but he's also a guy that cares a lot about his kids, that brings kids in because he believes in them, not because he has to, because he wants to, and because they make the team better. The team. They make the team better. This team, they'll tell you, on paper, not real good. Not a good start. But I'm telling you, if this team can stay together, if they can gel, if they can blend, if they can become potentially what they were supposed to become, this is going to be one of the most dangerous baseball teams this area has ever known. Because you get some swagger back out of number 30 on the roster, 21's already ready to go. Trey Pancake is a guy that is just waiting for his turn, and he waits no longer because the other day he blew up and showed what he is able to do. Put the ball in play. Throw runners out. And I mean throw runners out, even though if the umpires don't call it, Scotty, it takes two. It takes two. He still threw him out. And Ian Francis is playing an unbelievable first base right now. When the pitching staff comes together, and I think we're close, they're going to be dangerous. They're going to be dangerous. And we're not going to be talking about how many, if we can win a game, we're going to talk about how many games we can win and potentially, get on that road to Omaha. So I'm excited. I really am. I think that a lot of teams, a lot of players are kind of sour on Youngstown State baseball right now, and I don't think they need to be. I think they need to understand that that's still a destination. That's a D1 school that is going to compete against bigger schools. I'm not a big fan. Like, if you're going to go play the Sisters of the Poor and the Brothers of the Blind, just tell me so I can go somewhere else. Because it's not about wins and losses in March. It's about wins and losses 3 months from now. right? It's about going to Omaha. It's about winning the Horizon League. That's what it's about. If you're worried about winning, beating Louisville in March, then you got bigger things to worry about.
All good points for sure. And I also think, like, and not that everyone on social media does this, but you talked about like the criticism and people kind of thinking that they know everything and maybe not staying in their lane. But it's one of my, like, I think I posted it a couple weeks ago, but one of my favorite quotes of all time is uh, Teddy Roosevelt, the man in the arena.
Great.
And I just think it's easy for people like on the outside that aren't in it and doing it every day and laying it on the line. It's easy for those people to say, well, this should have happened, and why isn't this happening now? And what are they doing? What's the plan here? Like, it's easy for them to criticize, but unless you're in it and know, I really don't like, the older I get, the more I know that unless you have like great knowledge and you're in the program itself and you're the one going out there battling every day, I think you do just got to be patient, DJ, and that's the. But a lot of people just, as soon as there's adversity and things go bad, they just want everything to change, and we got to do this and we got to do that. But
Wouldn't
it's
make for a very good team, right? You know,
no.
if your team's down, 1-0 in the World Series in Game 7, and you guys just go, you know what? It was a good year. That was a good. No, like it's so challenging, Scotty. Both as a former athlete, I think I can classify myself as that now, and now as a business owner, and as a parent, and as a husband, and I mean, everybody that's watching can classify themselves in whatever category they want to. When you're an athlete, you're a competitor, and most of the athletes, former athletes, whatever, right? We keep that competitive spirit in whatever we do. And what I'm here, I'm going to tell you because it's flat across, because it goes into kind of the message that I had this morning on social media is you're going to make mistakes, because if you want big things, if you want big opportunities, if you want just opportunities in general, you're going to have to swing for the fence. You're just going to have to. You can't just play small ball all the time. You can't just, sit back and swing 75%. You can't just do layups all the time. You can't do bunnies. Nobody's going to sit there and just let you walk into the end zone if you're in football, or they're not just going to let you, return a hammered kill in volleyball. You're going to have to compete. And sometimes you're not going to win. And I think that's the part that a lot of people miss nowadays in this society that we live in, full of reset, people that hit the reset button as soon as they're going to lose and don't want to battle adversity. Sometimes you're going to lose. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you're going to come up short. That's just part of being a competitor and part of getting better and growing. The problem that we have is so many of these critics and so many of these people think that it's being done on purpose. Like we're not trying. Like an athlete isn't giving their best. If you lose 19-1, you think they just rolled the ball out there and said, hey, go to town. We're going to let you score 19 runs. No, they still put their best effort. Maybe it wasn't their best day. We had a situation last night on the network that wasn't a great day for us, right? But we fixed it. We moved on. We can cry over the spilt milk later, but at the end of the day, there's people that are going to criticize us and what we do on an everyday basis. We might hit 99% of the time, but that 1%, somebody's going to be there, point the finger at you, and tell you that's why we don't like what you do. I'm going to we're gonna go Pat McAfee style right here. And if I was any of those YSU baseball players right now, and I was confronted by anybody else that wasn't on that team, that wasn't in that dugout, that wasn't in that locker room, I would tell them, shove it up their ass, pure and simple. That's what I would tell them. The same way that there's days that I just want to tell people, if you don't like what we do, don't come here, but don't come back, or do. I don't care, but stop complaining, because our guys are out there busting their humps, making sure that we're getting games that are transmitted because they've got to be paid for, not because of us, not because of our sponsors, but because of other entities and governing bodies. I'm telling you, these teams that go out there, especially in the early going of the season, and they lose by double digits or they get mercy ruled, they're not trying to do it. You think they just showed up and said, you know what? I don't feel like giving our best effort. I don't feel like giving our best effort today. It's not how it works. It sucks. Those are bad days. And some days, your bad days are your last days. Seniors, only one team gets to win a championship. Only one team goes home happy. Only one team goes home without a loss. Every year, every division, one. So if you come up short, if you're runners up, does that mean you're a loser, that the season was a failure? To me, no. You grew. You put it out there. You put your effort. You put yourself out there. You were vulnerable. You were susceptible. And a lot of this stuff, even if they're college kids, listen. Now, Scotty, the excuse is now, well, they're getting paid. Go knock on every dorm room of the baseball team and ask them how much they're getting paid to play college baseball. Most of them aren't even on full scholarships, if any of them. It's frustrating. And then high school kids roll into this. I mean, we've got so much we can talk about with huge blowouts that we've talked about 2 weeks ago. And even bigger blowouts have happened since then. And I've got people that are, well, shame, shame, shame on this team and that team. And do you think that team should slow down? Like, again, we had a 19-1 ball game on Friday night in Louisville. Do you think YSU put their tail between their legs and said, you know what? That's messed up. No, stop them. Stop them. Nobody's going to sit there and cry over spilled milk. Nobody's going to sit there and be like, well, you beat it. Guess what? You do it again. Run it back. Let's go. I firmly believe that the majority of players in this area, if you gave them the chance, would compete with anybody. Anybody. And you can ask Sam Torres, I will fight you until 2 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, letting you know how I feel about our area athletes. And that is from the highest of the highs in college to the lowest of the lows in amateur sports. There's something that is embedded in the DNA of athletes in this area that we will bite your knuckles off if you keep them on the railing too long. Like, we are dogs, man. We are absolute dogs. Boys, girls, coaches, doesn't matter. But I'm telling you, do not sleep on this team. Do not sleep on the Youngstown State Penguins. Do not sleep on some of these teams. Everybody's crapping all over, voting for high school sports. I'll take the shift here, Scotty. I'm sorry. We're gonna throw this bad boy in second gear. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? I don't think that there's any college coaches that are waiting on if this senior made the all whatever team. If they're not on you by the time you're a sophomore or a junior, they're not interested. And everybody's sitting there going, okay, well, I'm just building my resume. Listen, at this point, let's call it what it is, because we've bought into it. When you're on the all whatever team, it's just fluff. It's just somebody trying to put themselves out there and give you a congratulations title. Most of them don't even come with trophies. I can't even call it a participation trophy, Scotty, because it doesn't come with one. It doesn't even come with a t-shirt or a hat. It's just words on the screen. And we're as big a problem as anybody else. proud of what we do. We're proud of the kids. We're proud of the student athletes that represent YSN and are part of the YSN family. There's no doubt about that. But to have grown men and women that put so much stock into this, that hold it over people's heads, children, by the way, children's heads, in order to make themselves feel bigger. Or on the flip side of that, you've got coaches and whoever, administrators or whatever it is, that are utilizing this as I don't know if it's like a chip on the shoulder piece, it's motivation for next year or what it is, but take everything that you've accomplished this year, if you've had a really good year, and to say that, well, our kids aren't being respected. At some point, you've got to get over yourself too. That's just the way it is. Because that's the frustrating part. Is that what you do on the court during the year, what you do on the field, and coaches, I'm sure will agree with us on this. What you do on the field from a coaching standpoint and from a player standpoint and a community standpoint will reflect what happens in the postseason honors. There's no doubt about that. I think we figured that out, Scotty, right? I mean, it's one of those things. Like, if you're not the MVP, there's probably a reason why from that standpoint. If you're not player of the year, this or that or the other thing, it's a tough look. It's an absolutely tough look. But you got people on both sides of the aisle that are wrong, and neither one wants to admit it. Instead of just talking about it and being truthful about it and saying, this is why we did what we did, this is why we did what we did, you just walk away and go about your merry way. And this party's upset and this party's upset. I mean, it's like watching Toy Story 2. Woody and Buzz are always mad at each other. That's what this is. We're watching Toy Story 2 with these grown-ass adults. It's frustrating. And then we're sitting there in the middle like, well, what do you want to do? But I digress. Sorry, Scotty.
Yeah. That was impressive though. I gotta give it to you. That was
some viewers going. I can see that.
Yeah, that was a high quality rant for
Sorry.
sure, man.
Sorry, and there's people that are gonna be mad at me for that. I don't care. I'm over it, man. I'm over it. Like, I'm tired of these. I'm not to get back into it. I'm tired of these people sitting and pointing the finger and wagging the finger at people saying, you're not trying, or you're not good enough, or you're not, like, listen, I'm not here to sit and pat people on the back and say, you're special. You're good enough. No, but I'm like, get out there and do it your damn self. If that's what if we're going to sit there and we're going to, stoke the flames, don't be afraid to get burned. Don't be afraid to get burned. If you're going to poke the fire, make sure that you're ready for that flame to come out and bite you. Because that's the thing. It's a lot of these are hit and runs. A lot of these badasses on the internet are sitting there telling you how it should be when they've got no idea. They've got no idea, Scotty.
Yeah, they're not putting anything on the line. No, it's just like somebody that, because I know some people that would do this and they'd say like, they'd like give people what they think's gonna happen, like scenarios and like sports games and stuff, but then it's like you put no money on it, and it's like, well, who cares about your opinion?
I knew a guy like that.
Yeah, yeah, we knew someone like that.
Notice that he's, at least not yet that I know of, living in the penthouse with all the winnings that he would have if he was betting all this money. Just saying. Yeah. He's one that knows better than everybody. I found that out. And that's, I would invite him on to talk about it, except for he didn't finish what he started with us. So that's the end of that. But I'd be more than welcome to listen to him rant and rave for, 10 minutes about what he thinks is right and wrong, and then absolutely correct him like I've done so many times before.
Yeah, it would be. I'd buy a ticket I'd pay for that show. That's all I'm saying.
Speaking of a ticket to buy a show, the YSN All Star Game coming up on March 24th at Boardman High School. Scotty, you, my friend, are going to be a celebrity judge. We're excited for that. We've got a couple surprises along the way that we will let out of the bag as we get closer to the game. But for you to be a celebrity judge in the first ever YSN Slam Dunk Contest. What are you looking for in a dunk that these other these contestants can start working on now?
Um, See me with a dunk, like you obviously you can go with the classics. I mean, I think everybody, it's like just like any other judge, like I'm gonna look at creativity, but also I think you may talked about it on a show a couple of weeks back. Like I like when someone pulls out or at least attempts to do something that I haven't seen or is kind of unexpected. I think you put it the element of surprise. Like that's something that's always um, really cool to kind of watch unfold, like see what tricks they're gonna have up their sleeves, because you know, you know, um, competition brings up it brings out the best in everybody. So you know these athletes, high schoolers. I mean, I have a feeling they're going to be getting pretty creative with what they're trying to do, and it's really exciting. Um,
Anthony says that Scotty's about to be the deciding vote in a close dunk contest. See, Anthony knows who's scheduled to be in the dunk contest. You don't even know yet who's in the dunk contest. You don't even know who the other judges are.
I don't know, um, but yeah, I guess closing on it, like I'm so stoked for it. I just want to see, like, I want to see these all the dunkers like fearless. I want to see them just fearless, uh, really attacking it, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Are you going to be a gentle judge or are you going to be one that's aggressive? Are you going to hold that 10 captive until you see something that absolutely blows your mind? Are you going to be 10, 10, 10, 10?
Well, it's funny because Anthony was. We were talking about that on the off the air once we got done with running point, and he seems to think he's kind of thinking I'm gonna be like the hard judge, and you know, giving everybody on a dunk of a 10, giving them like a 7 or an 8. But I don't know. I'm gonna try to find a good balance, like be fair, but I also I'm not just gonna. I'm not about giving everyone the the trophy, um, giving them a cake all the time, or a cookie. I want, even if you don't complete the dunk, I just want to see a lot of creativity and
So
style.
3 turns to complete the dunk. So you have um, 3 chances. You can do like fake liftoffs and stuff like that, but you've got to tell the judge, hey, we're going to do fake. I'm going to just try to get a jump in before I go, like a warm up, right? But they've got 2 minutes to complete one dunk. 2 minutes to complete, and they get 3 attempts. So if they miss on the first two with big dunks, they might have to go back to the drawing board and try to put down maybe something a little bit more easy. And there's 2 rounds, so everybody's going to get one dunk, and then the second round there will be a the finals, which it'll be 2 of the 6 in the finals. So I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be awesome. The biggest thing, Scotty, is I've had people, because you're the only judge that I've really told anybody outside of YSN. It I think every time I've told them that you're a judge, they're like, "This is where Scotty rises out of his chair and puts one down." Like, this is what you've been waiting for your entire life, and they're gonna put some R. Kelly on the speakers, little "I Believe I Can Fly," and you're gonna see Scotty stand up out of the wheelchair and just throw the hammer down. I believe I can fly. Boom! Stovetop stuffing.
Top stuff and Austin Car Special Deluxe. Um,
Dave says you can't.
you can't be giving out tens all half-assed.
That might be the first time I've ever seen somebody spell out haphazardly.
Yeah, I think it is my first time I've ever seen that.
I think you're gonna give, like, you'll give out 60. I think you're gonna give out all tens. That's
all
my guess.
tens,
That's
all
my guess. I think you're gonna be the other end of the spectrum that Anthony thinks you're gonna be. I think you're gonna just give 10, 10, 10. Like, you're gonna lose all other 9 paddles and just give tens.
I've been thinking about this a lot and going over a lot of different ways I wanna go about this, but who knows? I might just, because sometimes I'm just like too nice, the inner teddy bear, and I just want to make everyone happy, but I also, I don't know. I feel like I gotta be at least a little. I have to. They have to show me a lot of personality in their dunks.
Anthony says that no, people cannot dunk over you.
Well, you mentioned me getting out of the chair. You haven't seen me in this chair since I got it, but the chair that I have, I can stand up in it. So
You got
I can.
rocket thrusters? Are you going to be able to like fly all over the gym? Because we'll put you in the dunk contest.
Uh, I mean, I'd love to. Like you talked about it, I'd love to throw. I gotta throw one down. I'd love to
How the
throw
hell are we going to get you up
one.
there?
I don't know, but
We need to get you in some wheelchair basketball. I saw it. They did it at Boardman.
yeah, I did play. This was like about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago. I played some adaptive soccer, and that was pretty cool. But I never played any wheelchair basketball. I
The way that you play that hoop behind you, buddy, you'd be like Larry Bird. You'd be like Larry Legend from Beyond the Arc. Just goosh, 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 talking all kinds of trash.
Larry Legend. It's funny you bring that up too, because a buddy of mine who's older, he thinks he's like people always say who's the GOAT, LeBron or Michael, and he's like, to him his GOAT was Larry Legend, so he wants to get like team up and get Celtics jerseys from that era, and one of us to get Bird and one of us to get Mikel or Parrish. But yeah, I have one Larry Legend jersey, the white. I just need a green one now. So
I'm related to a Celtic koozie. I forget what it is. Obviously, it's where I got my I got my size from there.
okay.
I'm, I'm huge. I'm huge. I'm a post player. Easily 7 foot. All right, what we got here? Dave says, ever tried sled hockey?
I have not, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
I think Scotty would be the enforcer on sled hockey. Like, we've seen you start fights inside of YSN headquarters with Anthony.
Oh yeah, that's I probably took it a little too far. That I mean, he was like, you read it. I'm like, he's the one that instigated it.
I think
So
he was playing around. Scotty doesn't play. When Scotty's got what 8 beers in him, you're not playing around. It's go
eh,
time. When the bell rings, you're off and running. You're Stone Cold Steve Austin.
yeah, at that point, it's no holds barred.
Anthony was giggling, and all of a sudden he wasn't. When you were dead serious, you were ready to go.
That
I thought
was
we were gonna have to break you two up.
that was a fun. I partially that's Eric's fault too, because he always comes and gives me all those icy lights, and then it's like, what do you expect?
Well, he wants to load you up with the Yinzer's finest, that's for sure. Because all the smack talking that you do, we got to make sure that you've got the greatest beer in America filling up your belly and making terrible decisions for you. So
I will, and I'm not quick to give Pittsburgh many compliments, but I will say Icy Light is, I gotta say, it's a solid beer, man.
it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. Listen, it is icy latte, easily one of the world's finest. Easily one of the world's finest. I can't wait till the hot days, the dog days of summer. So I'm outside on my brand new patio, cracking a Yinzer Light. Oh man, I'm just ready. I'm ready to stand on top of the world, on top of the mountain once again, and claim it. Recharge the batteries for football season. Call some games out of Bob Scene Park. You and I are going to be calling a game down at Bob Scene Park this year, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, cannot wait for that. My first ever baseball game.
Icy lemonade?
I didn't even know they had icy lemonade.
Is that? I had the icy light Turner's tea one. If they have icy lemonade, it's over.
Oh man, I love lemonade. I like a good iced tea, but I like lemonade even better.
It's the tea. It's the tea. Yeah, it's the tea. It's interesting. It's it's not for everybody, but I'll tell you what. You drink a few of those, they go down a lot smoother. They're ready to go.
Yeah, they do.
As long as you're 21 or older. As long as you're 21 or older, they go. If they're not, do not get away from them. You got no business touching that icy light tea, David. Um, Scotty, it's time. Believe it or not, thanks to my rant, my 20-minute rant, it is time for the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. They are everything electrical. Visit them today at dickeyelectric.com. All right, Scooter, where are you standing on your spark today?
My spark today, and I know we have one more week of this. Next week it'll be week 14, but my spark today, I just wanted to shout out my good buddies, of course, Anthony, who's let me kind of be a second wheel on the show and kind of be that guy that's able to just bring the extra randomness, because a lot of times it's just um, stuff that I'll think about randomly and connect it to sports, whatever we're talking about in some way. But I I'm really loving being a part of the wrestling coverage and the wrestling Wednesdays. Next week is the last week, and I just want to thank Anthony and Gary Oldtizer, and Chris has been on the last few weeks. Chris Galucci, and I've learned so much these last couple of years, because just a couple of years ago I knew. Nothing about high school wrestling, and to be able to be a part of it and do be a part of these interviews and get to ask questions from not just boys but girls too, and seeing how it's evolved for women's wrestling and how that's growing. It's just a great thing. And learning about the moves, Gary's sending me videos of guys doing, the Win Dixie move, and it's really cool stuff that blows me away. So my spark is Chris and Gary and Anthony letting me be a part of Wrestling Wednesdays as we got one more week to go.
Mine is I'm going to start with Radar. And Radar's Wednesday Spark. I'm excited. See if I can do the Radar voice. I'm excited about Scotty being a judge for the slam dunk contest at the YSN All Star basketball game later this month. Kristen and I give Scotty a perfect 10. There you go. You're a perfect 10, Scotty, according to Radar.
Thank you, Radar. That very sweet of you means a lot.
My spark is we'll let the cat out of the bag because I'm about to make a graphic, but we will once again, for the first time ever, YSN will once again partner with the nonprofit organization Sleep in Heavenly Peace out of Warren, Ohio. Excited for this for our All-Star game. That's what our All-Star game is all about, is teaching these student athletes how important it is to give back to those who don't have or those that don't have enough. I'm excited to be able to do this. A couple years ago, Scotty, we did at South Range. We did the one to give back to Golden String, a rousing success. This year, we think we're going to be able to give back more money than ever. We're working on the invite list for college coaches, athletic directors as well. Donnie Riccatelli was adamant about having coaches and athletic directors there. They're going to have their own food station that they can come in and relax and talk amongst each other and hopefully bring back some of our student athletes and talk to them. This is what it's about. It's about raising the level for everybody. I'm so excited. I think everybody that knows me knows that I love what we do every day. Passionate, love it, would not trade it for the world. I am blessed beyond measure. But the All-Star games and how we throw a party and how we create opportunities for young men and young women to play at the next level, and more importantly than anything, have a chance at a great education. That is what means the world to me. That's what gets me excited. That's what gets me out of bed every single morning, is to give kids better opportunities that I ever had, that you ever had, that their parents ever had, here in this area, here locally, here regionally, and hopefully here nationally. I really do think that with what we do at YSN, we're just going to continue to scale and to grow until we are touching every single part of the map of this great country, because I believe in it. I love this country more than anything other than God itself and my family. I love the United States of America, and I think sports in this country is hands down better than anywhere else. Anywhere else. And I would die on that hill 10 times out of 10. And I'm excited to be part of it and to leave our mark. That's going to do it for our show today. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Scotty, we had a ton of people tuning in all over. Thank you out there. We appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, and no show Friday because Homeboy will be in Atlanta with the Georgia Tech Ramblin' Wreck and the Youngstown State University Baseball Penguins. We will see you tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on your sports network. Say bye, Scotty.
Bye, everybody.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your sports network.